This video is taken from a live stream that I did last night. It's not quite a walkthrough, but it's just me trying to go at two Hack-the-Box machines. This one that I'm posting right now is going to be Cap from Hack-the-Box. I'll have a link to it in the description. If you want to watch me do this live, you can come and follow me on Twitch. The link is also in the description, but we can get to it, and you can see how I did Cap. So we'll start by spawning a machine. And then I need to get my VPN set up. So the way you get into this is that there is... There's a VPN connection that you use to get in. You should all be able to see that. I don't know how the text is appearing. That text isn't super important. This is a fresh box, so I just set all this up because I realized some of my other VMs have not quite PII, but usernames and stuff that I don't really feel like making public. The reason night vision goggles are green is because there are more shades of green visible to the human eye than any other color. So the first thing I'm going to do, you can see this is literally the only folder I have in my documents right now is my VPN folder. So I'm going to make a directory for Hack-the-Box. Go in there, clear this out, and I'll make a directory for Cap. A lot of people have preferences on how they will organize their actual attempts on this. I tend to try to make one directory for each box that I'm working on, and then just operate out of there. So we'll go back. 10.10, 10, 245. You can see we are connected to a VPN. That's my IP address up there. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that Cap is on here with the right IP address. I spawned it earlier just to make sure I could ping and add everything in there. So I'm editing the Etsy host file. The Etsy host file is a way for your machine to know what domain name or what host name is tied to what IP address. You don't have to configure this, but sometimes there's functionality that you lose out on. So I could operate specifically with 10.10.10.245 here, just the IP address on the VPN. But for functionality's sake, I'm going to keep it as cap.htb, and that's the domain that Hack-the-Box tends to use. So start with a little ping test, and we can see that we're getting results. Music is a bit loud compared to my voice. Let's turn the music down then. Turn the gain up a little bit. And that should be a little bit better. Let me know when that takes, and I'll see if there's any helping or if there's any adjustment that I need to do after that. Awesome, thank you for letting me know if that works. So the first thing I'm going to do is quickly run an Nmap scan on this, and I'm going to do a standard TCP scan. I'm going to run a service scan. I'm going to make it verbose, and I'm going to run against cap.hack-the-box. Now, this is only going to do some of the top ports. It's not going to do the entire 0 to 65535 because I didn't declare those ports. All I want to do right now is figure out what's open. So you can see we have port 21 open, port 22 open, and port 80 open. Now, there's, like I said, a little bit of a formula to Hack-the-Box. Hack-the-Box, first things that you want to know is, rarely have I seen SSH port 22 be your first way in. Often, it's going to be something like an anonymous FTP logon, or in this case, we have a web server running Gunicorn on, or Gunicorn on port 80, and we have two options. I could go visit the website right now. So I'm going to open the page up and do HTTP cap.hackthebox. And you can see we have some level of application. See, we have network status, we have IP config, we have security snapshot. The thing I'll do before I do anything else, though, before I start poking my way around, is I'll set a crawler to go. And I use GoBuster for this. So GoBuster is a tool that will run against a website, give a word list there, and then check to see if that website has that directory. So if I do cap.hackthebox and I feed it a word list that contains about me, the first thing it's going to try is cap.hackthebox/about me, and if it receives a good response, then it's going to tell me, okay, we found it. Or it's going to tell me that doesn't exist, or it could tell me it exists, but I don't have permission to get there. So we're going to do GoBuster, cap.hackthebox, that's the URL. The word list we want to use is user share word list dirbuster directory list 2 free medium 40 thread. And then for extensions, I tend to do HTML, text, and PHP just to see what I can find. Do I have a full screen mode? Let's see. I should have one. How's this? So what I have configured here is the crawler. I'll start up. What am I missing here? What's wrong? Is there no U? Is that wrong? Oh, the GoBuster dir. I forgot to do the directory crawler. There we go. So you can see it's found data, it's found IP. You can see data tends to redirect back to the original website, so that's interesting. Netstat. How's the font on the terminal? Do you need me to make it bigger, or is that good? Alright, so we've got a couple different sources. You can see this is probably tied to each of these, so it's not bringing up anything that I don't know about yet, but I'm going to keep it running in the background. So let's poke around. First thing that immediately kind of jumps out to me is that we have a user. There's this guy, Nathan. So I am going to nano notes.txt. And yes, I am basic and I keep my notes in nano. So potential users, I have Nathan so far. Now I'm honestly just clicking around to see what happens. Messages and settings doesn't appear to get me anywhere. Security snapshot says it's a 5-second PCAP and an analysis. So what I'm seeing there is nothing really nothing really, if I'm being honest. We'll go home. Network status. So this is showing me what I think is all the open connections to the server. And you can see this is my crawler on multiple ports trying to crawl in and find more websites, or more directories rather. It's showing some of the processes running. IP config. So IP config is showing me the interfaces that are currently enabled on there. If this was a more expansive lab, if this was a part of a larger environment, then you might see this as a pivot point. So sometimes they'll have labs of multiple machines simulating a whole network, right? And I've seen it in some instances where this would pop up like this, but show another third interface. So you would use this machine as a pivot point to another part of a network that you can't normally reach from the outside. You would tunnel your way in either through an SSH tunnel or whatever software that you're choosing. So I think I would be using SSH shuttle for that, but it doesn't appear like that's something that we're doing right now. It's just one machine. We don't have to worry about that. So we have a search bar. Search equals hello is popping up here. This is something we might want to make note of. We might be able to use this query in the future. IP equals... I wonder if it just... Okay, so it just appends this to whatever directory you're in. I think I'm going to stop this because that looks like all there is to it. We have a couple different avenues we could go down. This is an easy box, so I'm hesitant to do the first thing that I really want to do, which is run subdomain enumeration. So subdomain enumeration would be something like, okay, we have cap.hackthebox, but maybe there's something called dev.cap.hackthebox or app.cap.hackthebox that we don't normally have access to, but as soon as you know about it, you can add it to the etc host file and it will redirect appropriately once you start trying to access it. I don't tend to see that a lot with the easy boxes. Sure, you'll see it sometimes, but I'm not going to go around that right now. The first thing I think I'm actually going to do is run Burp Suite against this. And Burp Suite is a tool that we can use to kind of intercept and look at some of the traffic that we're sending there by using it as a proxy. And I'll show you how we did that in a moment. So start burp. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to observe the requests for each of these going through once I get that all set up. So if I go to proxy, you can see the intercept is off. And the first thing I have to do is I have to go find Foxy proxy. Can I not use my extensions in private mode? I might have to switch over. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can. All right. So I'm going to go to Foxy proxy and I'm going to use burp. So I've configured this to use port 8080, which is what Burp Suite's going to listen on. And instead of sending traffic straight to the server, it's going to stop at Burp Suite. So now, as long as intercept is on, don't worry, it's small text, but we'll do what we can. I'm going to start with network status. You can see it immediately took me over here. This is the request. I don't think I can make the size bigger. Let me see if there's anything I can do about this. Yeah, I think we're just going to plow through this. And if you have questions, send them out. So you can see this is the GET request. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. I'll forward it through. And this is the response it gave me. Not seeing anything that really jumps out at me. This is the whole page that we already saw. Now I think I'm going to go and look at the snapshot piece because that one interests me a little bit more. So I'll go to the intercept and I think I'm going to send this to the repeater. So the repeater basically stores this as a request that I can send, and then I can alternate, or then I can alter it. And if I want, send the altered version, then just keep sending. And as long as there's not some kind of dynamic aspect to it, like a cookie request, then I should be able to just keep sending it. So I'm going to start by sending this. Proxy's coming back. Forward that. So Let's see, it's redirecting. If I go back, the proxy's showing me now. It's now giving me a get request for data/free, which I think is going to end up being the request that I just sent. If I go here, you can see we didn't get this the first time. We have a number of packets that we received, the IP packets there, TCP packets, and I can download, it looks like, if I want. So I'm going to turn off Burp Suite, and I'm going to download this. I expect what I'm going to find is a PCAP file. So PCAP file is a packet capture file that is just telling me what network traffic is going across the environment. I'll start by opening up Wireshark. Wireshark is the tool that I tend to use when I'm looking at these kind of PCAPs. And it's an industry standard. I'm sure if any of you have done any kind of packet analysis, then you know what Wireshark is. All right. So this, at its core, looks to be my device communicating to the server on port 80, so it's the web request. Now I'm going to follow this as a stream to make it a little more digestible. See if anything comes up of note. And honestly, nothing really. This is expected. But I'll tell you what jumped out at me already. Exit that. Data/free. When you're looking at machines like these easy boxes on Hack-the-Box, they give you clues in plain sight. And what I'm seeing here is that this is file number 3. But you remember we only did 2 PCAPs so far. So I think it's possible that we have other files that we can access. So I'm going to go try 2. So 2 shows up, but there's nothing in there. But at least I know, at least I think I'm right. 1 doesn't show anything. 4 doesn't show anything, so I just decided to go up. Try 0. And this is interesting. You can see we have a number of packets here now. We have IP packets, we have TCP packets, we have 72 total. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to open this up in Wireshark, just like I did with one that we did already. Oops, that's Burp Suite, not Wireshark. So you can see it's slightly bigger in terms of the amount of data that we have. I'm going to, again, follow this, see what we got. Now you can see the entire clear text here. This starts at stream 0, so I'm going to go up to 1. We see another GET request. I'm looking for this, and I'm not seeing anything super interesting, so I'm going to go up to the next piece. Requested URL not found on the server. So it looks like they were looking for favicon, which is that little tiny little thing on the tabs that tend to show a logo. I'm also hyper at the moment. I've got my C4 energy drink. I have to work in the morning. I probably shouldn't be having that right now. Now this is interesting. Remember way back at the start when I said we had a couple different ports open, and one of the things I could have done was try an anonymous FTP. And FTP in these cases is showing clear text, and what we can see is that that user, Nathan, that I found earlier, look at that. Let's see. bucket hat for me. Don't know about you, but that is a poor fashion choice in my opinion. So you can see what he did. He logged in, set the pass, listed what was there, switched to binary mode, which is one of the things that you want to be doing to pull files. I'm sorry about screws of your sleep pattern. I've had issues about needing medication in the past to help fix my sleep pattern as well, so I kind of understand what's going through there, and I know that's frustrating to deal with, so good luck. So if we look at this user Nathan and bucket hat for me, well, bucket hat for him, not for me. I'm going to go back and we have a couple different things that we can try again. So bring the terminal. Potential password is bucket for me. I'm going to close out burp sweep. And what do you think? Should I try FTP first or should I try SSH first? So FTP is that file sharing protocol. We know that this password should work for that because that's the kind of traffic that we intercepted. But we could also just jump straight to trying SSH, the remote access, and seeing if that gets us anywhere. FTP might yield clues, yeah. So let's give it a go. Let's start with FTP. Alright, so you see we're in there. There's the user file. At least that's what it looks like. So I'm gonna get user.txt. And that's it. That is the user file for this machine. But to your point, Opinion, the user file, that's the only thing on FTP right now. So what is our next option? Really, the only other option I think we have right now is to try SSH. So I'm going to SSH Nathan at cap.hackthebox. And it looks like it worked. So yes, it's a hash, kind of. So Hackthebox, the user and root files are dynamically generated, so they're going to change every single time. What you would do is just copy and paste this. If you're in Hackthebox, you know, it looks like this. In TryHackMe, I think it looks like this. And in OSCP and Offensive Security, it looks like this. It's really just... This is literally a TTP for Akira. It's user.txt. That's all. It's not an actual password hash for this. JF stop. Hello. Yeah, since this is an easy machine, Opinion, I think that they just put the flag there. And honestly, we didn't have to go and get it out of FTP either, because you can see we're in SSH now. Flag's right there. So one of the first things that I'll tend to do here is try a sudo-l, because on the EasyBox, they love to give you some kind of what's the phrase, GTFO bin. They want you to be able to abuse binaries for this, and sudo privileges are privileges that let you run something at the root or admin level, right? So sometimes you can allocate certain commands to users of a lower privilege. So if I'm Nathan and I only need to run sudo ping, then I can have that permission based on whoever the admin is configuring that. And a lot of times you will see that in Hackthebox. You'll see if I run sudo l, you can run one command, and if you run it as the full sudo command, sometimes you can break out and into the root level there. It doesn't look like we actually have... Although I'm actually not entering the password correctly, so... User Nathan may not run sudo on cap. So let's see if there's anything else. One of the other things you might see in Hackbox pretty early on in some of the easy machines is this bash history. So that's your history of commands not being output to dev null. So if this isn't here, you have a chance at having the history of commands that are run actually showing on the machine. Unfortunately, doesn't appear to be anything that we have. I'm going to look at the Etsy password and Etsy shadow where the username and password hashes are configured and see if I can enumerate any other users. See if there's anything else there. So I would be looking for right around here to see if there's anyone other than Nathan. You can see they have a dedicated FTP user. They have a couple app-specific users, but nothing that I think is really going to bear fruit. So let's go to the website. So this is where the website is. And one thing I can do here, again, easy Hackbox machines, I want to say. If you look for the word password in Hackbox, sometimes you can grep for something, and let me think about how I want to phrase this. They purposefully put bad configurations in, and sometimes you'll be able to find a password in clear text. So all I did here was I grepped for password, and you can see here I found I missed password binary file, and then it just pushed this whole file out. Doesn't appear to be anything that I can actually use. But I did notice that we have an application in here that's running. Did we have sudo for this user? So we did do sudo l. There is no privileges for this user, so I can't exploit a binary. If I wanted to, I could see if I could exploit the suids, but I'm going to look at this application that they have in here first and see what they have. So you can see we're running Flask, which is popular on web servers here. And we can start to see what the back end of that website really looks like. So here's some of the PCAP that we captured. And we saw this when we looked at the page and actually got the data output. Remember when we were looking at the number of packets, the number of IP packets, and it's looking like it's just pulling that data and posting it straight to the site. Not sure what these magic bytes are. Here's the actual capture method. And okay, this is where Hackbox easy, again, easy machine. They tend to give you clues that you want to think you would never find in the real world, but you never know. I've dealt with some stupid engagements in the past, so permissions issues with Gunnicorn and Threads. Hacky solution for now. os.setUID 0. So what it's doing is Python is actually setting the UID to root. And what I've done here is I've set up, potentially, I had copied this from earlier, a command to netcat back to the environment. So, yeah, the web account, I don't know if a web account would have better permissions. I think that this is the avenue we want to exploit here, is seeing if we can get this netcat to run in this UID. So the first thing I'm going to do here is set my listener up. So this is telling my machine here, which is 10.10.14.16, to listen on port 4242. And what I'm hoping is going to happen here is it's going to use netcat in Python to try and send a shell back out. And if it doesn't work, then I have another little bit of inkling, because what I learned here is that Python has the permissions to set us to root. So the first thing I'm going to do is say python 3 app.py and see if anything happens. Nothing happened. Address is already in use. So I think what I'll do is open Python up directly. Need to import the OS module. Then I'm going to do os.setuid to 0. And then I can do something like command equals who am I? Then os dot, what is it? What's the command? I'm blanking on it. It's os dot. Let me go back. Cat app. os.system command. Okay. Import os. Command equals who am I? os.setuid to 0. os.system command. So here, I just got a command to run at root privilege from Python. So if I wanted to, I could manually just enumerate. So I can do command equals ls/root. So what I'm going to have it do is look at the root directory and see what's there. And you can see there's root.txt. So if I really wanted to, I could do cat/root/root.txt. And I'm sure this should give us the flag. But that's not something that I think is inherently valuable if you're a security practitioner or something. That what I want is full access as root. I don't want to have to brute force my way through a Python script, right? So the first thing I'll do is go back to Firefox, and I'm going to find a Python reverse shell. So I'll go to the reverse shell cheat sheet here. I like the look around. I think, yes, I know how to look for SUIDs on this. So the UIDs that we can, the SUIDs that we can exploit and escalate with. But looking through the code and looking through pieces like that, I think builds a little bit of enumeration skill, and I do like doing that. Plus, we're 45 minutes in now, and I don't know how much time I should be allocating to some of these. I just want to make sure that I'm capping the whole 2 hours if I need to. So what I have here is reverse shells. I'm in Python right now, so I could try and set one of these as the command and see if I can get anything coming back. So what I can do here is see if this will pop out for us. This is just a reverse shell that will run on the ports that I said. We'll see if os.system command does anything. Can't create that. I'm going to go straight to Python because I think that doing this in Python will be easier than actually trying to do it on my own. So we have a couple different options for Python, and cheat sheets are your best friend. Like, make your own cheat sheets. I have my own GitHub repository of cheat sheets. I'm just not using that currently. So what I'm going to do is take a look at this. We're importing socket in OS. I'm actually going to copy that. So you don't need to know the full details on what this actually does, but I do need to get rid of that Python because I'm already in Python. So I'm going to import socket for this. I'm going to keep OS there. each command is separated by a semicolon. So just keep that in mind, because I'm still going to need to set my UID. Actually, I don't think I'm going to need to set UID because I already did that once, but I'm going to make it... I'm going to set it just in case. os.set UID 0. So if I did this right, I think I'm going to get shell. Missed something here. We need to hook me up with some emojis and get that sub button turned on, don't you think? Yeah, the sub button, I think you need a certain level of viewership, so who knows. I'm going to exit out of Python and come back in. Hey, if you can't sub here, then feel free to go over to Patreon. I'm not gonna... Oh, I know what I did. So, because I'm taking this from Python-C, the whole command was in quotes, right? I never got rid of the last end quote. So what I'm gonna do now is os.setUID like I was doing before. What's happening here? Let me see. Let's just run it like this. Python free. We're gonna run it. We're gonna brute force it from here. Hey, we did it. So, by taking it out of the actual Python shell, I've just run the command python free C. So I'm running this Python command. This is the reverse shell. I made sure that I had my os.setUID because we knew that Python could set the UID on there. And now, over here, on the bottom, you can see I've got this little blinky with a little pound sign. So, who am I? I'm root. I go to root, ls, cat root.txt. There we go. We have found, you know, the root flag. So what you would do in this case is copy and paste those over to... Where is my Hackbox? Cap. I'll submit a rating. Easy. Submit rating. Root flag owned, user flag owned. I enjoyed that box. Alright, so I think we'll do one more.